Chitam. Understanding the ultimate goal of life is ascertained in the Brahma Sutra by legitimate logic and argument concerning cause and effect. Therefore, Vedanta Sutra is known as Nyaya Prasthan. The Upanishads are known as Shruti Prasthan. The Gita, Mahabharata, Puranas are known as Smriti Prasthan. All scientific knowledge of transcendence must be supported by Shruti, Smriti, and a sound logical basis. This is the first and foremost understanding one must know where this Upanishads falls and why are we discussing. What is the need to discuss each Upanishad? So that is first, because it is Shruti Prasthan. By hearing, we can advance. So the Upanishad, Upa, what is that Upa means? That also we have to understand. Prabhupada again explains. The Upanishad is especially Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Goswami Prabhupada's spiritual master is explaining. The Upanishads speak very highly of the impersonal Brahman. The Upanishads, which are considered the most elevated portion of the Vedic literature, are meant for persons who desire to get free from material association and who therefore approach a bona fide spiritual master for enlightenment. The prefix Upa indicates that one must receive knowledge about the absolute truth from a spiritual master. One who has his faith in a spiritual master actually receives transcendental instruction. And as his attachment for material life slackens, he is able to advance on the spiritual path. So the knowledge of the transcendental science of the Upanishad can free one from the entanglement of existence in the material world. When thus liberated, one can be elevated to the spiritual kingdom of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by advancement in spiritual life. So this is what Prabhupada is explaining. Especially this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila. Yadvaitam Brahma Upanishadi tadapi asya tanuva ya atma antaryami purusha iti so asyamsa vibhava sad aishwarya purno ya iha bhagavan sa swayam mayam na chaitanyat krishna jagati paratatvam paramya. Very important verse. Putting Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality as Paratattva. What the Upanishad describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body. And the Lord known as Super Soul is but his localized plenary portion. Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, full with 6 opulences. He is the absolute truth. And no other truth is greater than or equal to him. Adilila chapter 2, verse number 5. That is the first understanding we need to have. Now, so what is the goal of all the Upanishads? The goal of the Upanishads, or goal of all the Vedic literature in one essence, is especially 3 things. Again, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describing Sanatana Goswami. Because always we have to understand, not simply hear something about just that verse, but we have to understand the actual, in a whole spectrum of things, actually what is the actual goal, ultimate goal. Then we can penetrate inside it. Veda Shastrika is Sambandha, Abhideya Prayojam, but these last 3 things are Krishna, Krishna Bhakti, Prema, Tina Mahadan. In the Vedic literature, Krishna is the central point of attraction. And his service is our activity. That is second thing. Third one, to attain the platform of love of Krishna is life's ultimate goal. Therefore, Krishna, Krishna service, love of Krishna are the 3 great riches of life. These are the goals. Further, Prabhupada explains, again, Sanatana Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, Daridra Nas Bhavakshay Premera Phala Nai, Prema Sukha Bhoga Mukhya Prayojana. Because people have different kinds of understandings. What is the goal? So the goal of love of Godhead is not to become materially rich or free from material bondage. Because if some people, if you ask many people, most of the people will tell liberation or free from this bondage. But here in this verse clearly it says, no, that is not the goal. What is the goal then? The real goal is to be situated in devotional service to the Lord and to enjoy transcendental bliss. Prema Sukha Bhoga, Mukhya Prayojan. That is the real goal. So that is the sum and substance of all the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Puranas. That is the substance. We have to understand. That is the real essence. Now we'll go back now to the actual, this Isopanishad. So Isopanishad has 18 divisions before that. So the fundamental understanding is, one is people have beliefs and people have performed some certain actions. Just like the Dhritarashtra, if you go to Bhagavad Gita, what did he had? He had a belief and he performed actions. What was that? Because of the material motivations which led to material actions. So Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana led to the material actions because of the motivation itself, the beliefs, the actions itself is covered with ignorance. So that, yeah, we'll come to that. But yeah, so that's what first thing is, spiritual knowledge is beyond our reach because we are covered with ignorance. Then what we have to do? Therefore, Vedas are there to teach. So then that these Vedas, Upanishads, Vedas, Puranas are acting as a lens. That's why they call Shastra Chakshu. Chakshu means eyes. Whenever we are seeing things, whether family or opulence, or everything, anything we see in this world, that has to be seen through the eyes of a Shastra. So Chakshu. What does that Chakshu means? Again, I explain. Chakshu means C-A-K-S-U-S. Chakshus. Shastra Chakshus. This is explained. C means one must cultivate a desire to understand or study Shastra, like Isopanishad, like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Then A, next is, once you cultivate desire, then what you have to analyze how the teachings of Sri Isopanishad are still relevant in the modern day world. So the first is cultivation, next is analyzation, then knowing the actual essential message. That's why it is not a parrot reading. You can read it. Initially, everything is okay. Parrot reading, listening, coming to temple, everything is okay. But that's not all in all. You have to go. What do we do after going there? Do something practical. So that's what essence means. You have to know what is the essence behind going to temple. Essence behind hearing. Something we have to change. So that is what we have to understand here. So the cultivation, then analyzation, then knowing the essential message and philosophy of the Isopanishad. Then what do you do after knowing? Systematically study and remember the content and organization of Isopanishad. That is S. And then what you do? Then use the teachings. Now you are getting further and further. Then you have to apply it. Use the teachings of Isopanishad as a guide for our own lives. That is you. Then it becomes an I. This is the whole Isopanishad become an I. In everything you will see in your world, in your day-to-day, through that eye of Isopanishad. Yes means seeing through the eyes of the Vedic scriptures. So this is what it is. Comprehensive look at the Isopanishad is Chakshu, Shastra Chakshu, it is called. Now the belief is nothing but the belief has to be actually transformed into actual real knowledge, Vedic knowledge. Then the action also has to be transformed into practical application based on the knowledge we receive. So that's why knowledge and practice. The belief and action has to be transformed into, generally it becomes a lifestyle of people, like Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana also had a lifestyle. Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, all of them has a lifestyle. But their lifestyle is not based on the actual real way. Even though they seem to know, especially Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, they all know Vedas, they have studied. But they haven't studied. That's why now I will go back to a little more advanced level, a little more further, deeper. Why it says Guru here in the Upanishad? Guru means Guru Upasya Antakarasya Ruru Upasya Tat Nirodhaka. So what does he do? It is like, there are three levels of it. The ignorance is so much that even in the beginning, who is atheist, he has one kind of ignorance. Next, as soon as he accepts devotion, he also has ignorance, but at different level. And he further advance, still he has ignorance at a different level. So pretty much, that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives nice analogy. First level is, that's why we have to utilize everything, as Isopanishad gives. Sarira avidyajal. What this body is contained, body is covered with a network of illusion. But we have to accept this fact. We are in this material world means we have to accept this fact. We can't say, no. I am liberated. I am enlightened. No, we are not enlightened. If we are enlightened, we will not act in the way we are acting. So, Sarira avidyajal. Then what is further ignorance is, then not only that, the Indriya, even the subtle body also. Jadendriya Tahikal. Indriyas and the mind intelligence. Jadendriya Tahikal. First, we are already put in a ignorance, network of ignorance. On top of it, then the Indriya, the senses, the mind intelligence also further. Jadendriya Tahikal. It is like Kala support, the time factor. And time is decaying. At any time, death can come. That is the second. But the more dangerous of ignorance, what is happening. And then further throws into one. We are in the big ocean. Sarira Vidyajal, Jadendriya Tahikal, Jive Phale, Veshaya Sagare. We are in the ocean of the material distress and anxiety. The anxiety. Sada Samudvignadya, and constant anxiety and distress and lament. So this is where the ignorance is there at different levels. So it is like compared with a heavy fog. Can you remove heavy fog by yourself? No, you can't remove. You need a spiritual master. So you may say that it is like the, I'm so strong. Even if you are so strong, if some hurricane or some heavy wind comes, you need to take shelter of something strong. Then you will not fall. Even you may shake a little bit. So that who is that person you are catching onto? That is a spiritual master. Karna Dara Varnam. You have to catch. You cannot by yourself. Just like you go in high speed in a car, you are there, I am strong, I can drive. But if you don't have seat belt, you get a bump, you get just a brake, hand brake, or somebody stops in front. You put sudden brake, what will happen? You get the injury. You will know however strong you are, and that time you know what is the result of not wearing seat belt. So that seat belt is like the guru stops you, making into ignorant activities. Because guru is enlightening us. The first level of ignorance is thinking that I am the body. That is the first level of ignorance. The next level of, even though theoretically we know, the next level of ignorance is that is Chaitanya Charitamrita talks about. What is that andhakar? That andhakar is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Even all these four levels. Even within that dharma, artha, kama, moksha also, for especially devotees who have accepted the pratishtha, the name and fame and prestige and adoration. This is the biggest obstacle, biggest ignorance. Even though we know that is causing us a great obstruction for devotional service. And the second thing is simplicity is not there. Simplicity means you accept what Shastra says, because Krishna is telling Shastra, Guru, Atma, Trinayat. What is that? The verse is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna himself is expanding, because otherwise you cannot understand. You cannot remove your ignorance by yourself. These three things are required. Shastra, Guru, and Atma. Paramatma, not Atma, Paramatma. So, that verse. So that andhakar, ignorance, is at different levels. So that is also in Chaitanya Charitamrita. They expand. So that's why we need this transcendental knowledge through Isopanishad, is foundational knowledge. Because we think we know already, we will jump onto Bhagavad Gita, but in reality, no. Isopanishad is describing that one must utilize everything in the service of the Lord. Then you can live hundreds of years, no problem. You are not attached to anything. You will not be bound by anything. Otherwise, the attachment is there. So that's what we have to understand here. When it says the ignorance, when we say the cultivation, the desiring. So now let us look at the 18 verses. The 18 verses the Isopanishad is giving at different levels. First one is giving the first 9 verses, is giving the first 8 verses, 1 to 8, is giving the vision for the whole text. And the next set, there are 3 divisions here. First division is vision, 1 to 8 verses. Then the 9 to 14 is giving the guidelines. These all 3 categories are 2 things, knowledge and practice. The first one is giving the vision for knowledge, a vision for practice. Then the second set is 9 to 14 is giving the guidelines for practice, guidelines for knowledge. That is 9 to 14. And then the 15 to 18, third section, is describing the prayers. So again, prayers has to be for prayers for knowledge and prayers for practice. So in this way, 3 divisions are being described in the Isopanishad. Now we are in the second verse. So the one within that further division is 1 to 3 is offering prescribed practices for living entities, especially for human beings. And then the 4 to 5 is giving the enlightening us with the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, including the invocation mantra. And then the 6 to 8 is describing both combined. Once you know the vision for knowledge, vision for practice, both the knowledge and practice of the relationship are fully revealed in the mantra 6 to 8. In one sense, even the Isopanishad is giving Sambandha Abhideya Prayojan, relationship with the Lord, Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, and then our practice on that, and then the result is attaining Krishna Prema. So that is that even Vedanta Sutra also described like that. There are 4 divisions in Vedanta Sutra, all the aphorisms. There also the first 2 sections of the Vedanta aphorism also Sambandha. The third aphorism, category of Vedanta aphorism is again Abhideya. And the 4th category is Prayojana. So in any way you look at Sikshastra, you look at Isopanishad, you look at Vedanta Sutra, ultimately the whole thing is based on Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana. to develop actually love for Krishna, not so much about liberation, not so much merging into Brahmana religion, not so much to attain Dharma, Artha, all those. That is secondary. Okay, if somebody wants to get, that's fine. But that is not the actual real goal. We are talking about the real goal. Somebody has subsidiary goal, fine, no problem. You can do it. But we are talking the highest things, what is described in the Isopanishad, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then the second section, 9 to 14, giving further guidelines on the nature and knowledge of the knowledge and practice. So 9 to 11 giving guidelines for which knowledge is to be sought. And then 12 to 14 is giving guidelines for what practices are to be followed. Because if people could be following somebody else, make somebody as idol, your sports star, movie star, or some Google star, YouTube star, you can follow anybody. But does it transform you? No, it doesn't transform. Why? Because he has to be, first himself has to be realized, directly in touch with the Supreme Lord. Then he can, right? The one way, that's why the 6 Goswamis asked, what do you see that? Rupa Raghunatha Pade Aive Akuti. So Rupa Goswami Raghunatha, they are there. They are actually in the Leela. Nitya Lala Karila Prakash. You see the sun. You see the powerhouse of electricity. Can you see that energy? Somebody has to manifest it. You have a fan, you have a light. So that prakash, that manifestation of the energy of the Supreme Lord comes through who? Comes through Guru. Guru will reveal it. Unless when Guru reveals it in your heart, so that's why it is revealed through the ear. That's why sound vibration is very important. So it is Guru only has to reveal. Otherwise, the ignorance cannot be removed. Yes, maybe first level of ignorance you can maybe go ahead. So that's why the Lord Balaram acts. He takes the plow and removes this ignorance from our heart by removing all this dharma, artha, kama, moksha, all this andhakar. It's like a heavy fog. Heavy fog cannot be removed so easily. Even if you put so much, you can't even see opposite car, front car, or back car. That's how much the andhakar is such that you can't even detect this problem, even as you progress in devotion service also. Unless you are using expert guidance of a spiritual master. Again and again, repeatedly called out in the purports of Prabhupada books. Even in the Karma Yoga chapter 3.9, look at that verse. Ignarde karmano anyatra lokoyam karmavam tad ardham karma kaunteya. Today's verse also relate to that. Karma kaunteya mukta sangha sama. How will you liberate? Only if you perform sacrifice according to who? Under the diligent guidance of the bona fide expert guidance of spiritual. Clearly, Prabhupada writes that line in the purport. If you sacrifice, I am doing Sankirtan, I am doing chanting. What is the big deal? So I can progress, I can advance. No, you can't advance. You can't remove your ignorance. You need the expert guidance. You have to diligently follow. Read the purports under the guidance, under the association. Srutva patito dhyato adrita anumodito. So you have to be with careful attention. You have to read, you have to hear under the guidance, in the association. Then actually you can remove slowly and gradually ignorance. Otherwise, you can't remove this ignorance. So that's why in this section, the knowledge and practice of vision, knowledge practice for guidelines, and knowledge and practice for prayers. Prayers also required. So even though we may end up, but we still need to pray. So that is what the Isopanishad is mainly talking about. Now we'll get into the second verse, specifically speaking, by engaging ourselves. The second verse specifically talking about how one can engage ourselves in the Lord's service to re-establish our eternal relationship with Him. But are we ready? So we may not be ready. So why? Because we have to be ready. What is the result? What I'm going to get? Because we are going to get the concentrated ecstatic bliss. And it can change. At least even if we fall down in the middle, we get at least human birth guaranteed. Chapter 2, verse number 40, Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 6, verse number, I forget the exact verse. Suchram Singhutam Gehe, Yoga Brashta Vijayate. At least you will be born as human birth. For all other process, there is no guarantee. No one is giving guarantee. But Krishna is guaranteeing in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is guaranteeing in Brahma Samhita. Karmani nirdahat kinchuda bhakti bhajam govinda maj purusham tamam bhajam. Again and again, repeatedly, is giving the guidance. All your kundali will change. All your whatever is already written, that also changes. Only when you are dancing in front of the Lord, when you are following the instruction of born prediction, then you can change. Even the astrologers, real astrologers also will tell you. If you are practicing devotee, for you, we don't need to look at your chart, your kundalinis. That is what it is. Because one who is not following, then for him, then he has to look at all these things. Different mantras, different yajnas, different things they have to follow. But otherwise, not necessary. So here, the second verse is teaching us that by engaging ourselves in the Lord's service, we re-establish our relationship with Him. But we have to be eager. So that means, but generally people are comfortable with the life. They don't need any, they don't want to become, why you have to take up devotion service. So they can't see, even though other person, their father, grandfather, everybody passed away, but they can't see it. So they know that they have left. I also have to leave one day, but they can't see it. So that's why the ignorance is at different levels. They can't realize it. So, but we have to understand that this human life is very rare. That's what second verse is teaching. You can work like this when you understand God, when you understand our relationship with God, and work on that platform. How we do that, that also will come to that in a minute. Everything we work so hard for will soon be lost. So that's why we have to engage ourselves. The how temporary nature of this material, what this material world's nature is, how much temporary it is, how much it gives anxiety and distress. So that's why we have to perform this devotion service and utilize everything in the service of the Lord, and then that will give the actual real goal of life. We can attain the real goal of life. So before I get into further details, so let's look at Prabhupada purport as nicely divided systematically. Prabhupada has written purport. The first thing Prabhupada is talking about is transmigration of the soul, which is karma bandhan, which basically nobody wants distress, everybody wants to be eternal, nobody wants to die, everybody wants to live forever, because that is the nature of the quality of the soul. So that is the first aspect. So if he acts according to the injunctions of Shastra, acts according to the prescribed duties, then he can stop this birth, death, old age, disease. But if he doesn't act, then obviously he has to bind himself. That is the first problem statement. That is the problem statement. That is why Sarira Avidyajal, Jadendriya Taikal, which is Jivepale, which is Sagre. All three ways, or gross body, subtle body, is in this ignorance. So that's why we need something higher. Self-study is okay, good, but it is not efficient, it is not transformative. We have to be in the association of devotees, we have to learn from a spiritual master. Then actually we can see some transformation result soon. So that is the first point, problem statement Prabhupada is making. Then second point Prabhupada is making in the second paragraph. So it is very rare to get the human life. So that means then one must know what is actually prescribed duty, what is irreligious duty, what is against, what is karma, what is vikarma, what is akarma. Means what causes bondage, what causes pious activity, what is impious activity, and what frees us from this birth, death, old age, disease, what frees us from these three modes of material, what frees us from the karmic activities, bondage. So that is what is called akarma. So one who is intelligent man, he wants to free from bondage. This is preferred by the intelligent man. But the ordinary man, he wants to perform good work. No, why I should come to temple? Why I should go to God? I will just do pious work, and then I can gain some recognition and some status through altruism, nationalism, communism, socialism, so many isms. All to get name, fame, prestige, adoration. It's all. Maybe if he has a lot of wealth and everything, then he may help, but he may not be looking. That doesn't mean that he is going to go beyond this material and enter into spiritual. No, he cannot enter, because it is still nishkama karma. It is still karma. Pious or impious, still you have to come back to this material world. Still you have to take up another species of life, because it is not Bhagavad Arpita. The nishkama karma which Krishna is talking about is Bhagavad Arpita nishkama. It has to be done for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. Then we can talk about elevation from this material world and enter into. Until that point, there is no elevation from. We cannot get out of this world. We are still, even though however we may help so many thousands and millions of people in the material upliftment, education or giving clothes or whatnot. Those are fine, but that is not the actual primary essence, because this life you are helping. Last life, who helped him? Next life, who's going to help? So you only temporarily you are helping, but really, is it that helping? You are drowning. Person is drowning. You are pulling a shirt. Is that really help? No, not really. So that's how it is. So that is what second point Prabhupada is making, that one must try to become intelligent, look at everything holistically, and understand actually what we are trying to do and where we are trying to enter. At the end goal, what will we get? If we continue to do fruitive activities, where we will go? How long we are going to go to the heavenly planet, come down again, go to the Vidyadhar planet, higher planets, and come down again and again? We are just running around only in this Brahmanda. We are not going anywhere. Same distress, anxiety, even demigods have anxiety. And they also have to go to Lord Vishnu, Kshetrasagar ocean, and approach the Lord to relieve themselves. So what is the use of going to higher planet? What is the use of engaging in this fruitive activity? So that's why it is an intelligent man who can realize it and try to understand. So that is the second point Prabhupada is. And the third point Prabhupada is making, that this Isopanishad specifically, that is the verse I was telling earlier, 9th verse. Prabhupada is quoting. It is elaborately, whatever Isopanishad is talking about is elaborately explained in Gita-Upanishad. Because the essence of all the Vedas, essence of all the Upanishads is in the Gita-Upanishad. So that is 3.9.9 to 16, Karma Yoga chapter, verse number 9, which I quoted, Ignatho Karmananya, that was onwards. So and then Ignasistas, that is also very important, 13th verse. Very important verses. Why we should perform activity and what kind of activity we should perform, on what basis, that is what it is proclaiming. So 3.9 to 16 says that one can attain a state of naishkarmya or akarma without executing prescribed duties, mentioned in Vedic literature. So Gita can regulate the working energy of human being and gradually realize Supreme. In this purified state, three modes won't act. That is naishkarmya. So real naishkarmya is, the main point we have to note down is, diligently work under the expert guidance of the bona fide. That is the most important, significant line in the purport in that verse. So that's what we have to note down. The 9th verse. Then actually we can make serious progress because we are taking the guidance. That is what Prabhupada is talking about. The third one. The fourth point Prabhupada is talking about further after mentioning that, factually, nothing more than devotion service to the Lord is important. However, in lower stages, one can act immediately, adopt the devotion service, nor can he stop karma kanda work, because people are attached to work, people are attached to fruitive activities. So that's why it's all right. Okay, at least something is better than nothing. So he can start working, but offer the results to Krishna. So that's what he's talking about. So his operating instruction is, you should make them all God-centered. Okay, all right, you want to help people, you want to engage in community activities, social activities, national activities, humanitarian, all this, okay, fine. But at least put God in the center and work. So no harm in becoming family man or nationalist, provided one executes activities in relation with Isavasyam, the first verse, God-centered. So that's what fourth verse. See, Prabhupada is very systematically going from one problem statement, gradually is revealing the highest level, one by one. Number 5, then what is the, why I should perform, you may ask. That's why Prabhupada is making that 5th point. Gita 2.40, Krishna is stressing that God-centered activities save a person. That means greatest danger, which means you may not get human birth in the next life. You may take some other species of life, because there is no guarantee. You may perform so many pious activities, still there is no guarantee. But if you perform Krishna conscious activities, then Neha Vikram Nasosti Pratyavayana Vidyate Swalpamasya Asya Dharma. Then only 1% you have performed. Then at least you will get human birth. And that is guaranteed. So that is what is Prabhupada is stressing in the 5th paragraph. And next, Prabhupada is coming to the final thing. The 6th point, Prabhupada is execute all activities in the spirit of his own. What is that? Which will guarantee human birth and another chance to improve his position finally on the path of liberation. Because God is in the center. Naturally, will improve, and finally we understand. We'll act at the highest level. So then the last point Prabhupada is making that now, if one wants to know more detail about what exactly Isopanishad is talking about, then one must refer to Bhakti Rasamrasa Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion. What is that, which Rupa Goswami has written? What is the essence of that is two verses, which is the famous verse is the Paribhaksa Sutra is of that verse. Everything has, every text has, every book, Bhagavad Gita has a Paribhaksa Sutra. The Nectar of Instruction has also Paribhaksa. Bhagavatam has his own Paribhaksa. One verse gives the essence. So, like that. So in Bhagavad Gita, that verse is Sarvasya 15.15. Sarvasya Chaham Hridhi Vishto Matta Sprutir Gnanam Apohanancha Vedaicha Sarvair Aham Vedyo Vedantakat Vedavid Eva Chaham. How the Lord is situated as Paramatma in the heart, how he gives forgetfulness and remembrance. If one wants to be actually follow his representative, and then he will give, remove the ignorance, he will enlighten him. If he doesn't, then all right, he will be born. What can I do? Your free will, you can act whatever way you want, then I will cover. If you don't want me, then what can I do? So that's what. And I am the cause, I am the, ultimately I am to be known. The whole essence of Gita and everything is, I am to be known. That's what Krishna, that is the Paribhaksa. Paribhaksa, here, Nectar of Devotion, Paribhaksa Sutra is pure devotion service. That is ultimate goal. Anya Abhilashita Sunyam, Gnana Karma Janavratam, Anukulena Krishnanu Sirna. Uttama Bhakti, the topmost is performing pure devotions without having a desire for karma, without desire for enjoyment, getting heavenly planets or something, benefit, higher benefits, enter into some planet, enjoy. That is karma, on the basis of karma mishra bhakti. Demigods are on that level. That's why no point of worshipping demigods who are also at a little bit higher than us. What is the point? Again, we have to come to this material world. Again, we go through the birthdays, old age. What is the point? Right? There's a karma mishra bhakti, we have to go further. Then gnana mishra bhakti. That means still we enter into Brahman, then again we have to follow because there is no variety. Nirbheda Brahman Sandhan, it is called. Brahman apple then means Nirbheda. There is no variety. There is no person for you to interact. There is no activity you can perform. Then how long can you do? You will have fallen. That's it. Even the Jnana Mishra Bhakti cannot work. The Yoga Mishra Bhakti, they are also looking for enjoyment, mystic perfections. Creating planet, destroying a planet, or going from here and disappearing from here and appearing somewhere later than the latest, highways and the highways, all these are mystic, still material. Or no use, because still in this, it is all still in the material periphery within the 14 planetary system. So Karma Mishra Bhakti, Gnana Mishra Bhakti, Yoga Mishra Bhakti. So all these has to be gradually given up. Come to the pure devotion service. So that is what Rupa Goswami is giving. And how will you do that? What is the connecting verse? What is the verse? Here, Prabhupada is in the last one is making. The connected to the Isopanishad, specifically why Prabhupada is making that point is one verse, which is Rupa Goswami's important verse. Anasaktasya Vishayam Yataraham Upayanjita Krishna Nisbande Krishna Sambande Yukta Vairagyam. That means the real renunciation is not to artificial renounce actionally. Not to go, it's too difficult. I will give a family life, become renounced, like Arjuna is telling. I will not fight. I'll go. Too much, too difficult. I'll give up this job. I will not, I will become brahmachari. Whatever ashram you take up, whatever job you take, everywhere there's a difficulty. So for somebody who is there in that, but he will be looking at other things. Oh, others may be great. Other side looks rosy always. Home food doesn't look great. Always looking at the hotels or somebody else home food. Always, oh, that is good. This is good. Can you make like that? We have these things. So this is always generally is like that tendency is there always. So that's why Rupa Goswami is telling that. But real thing is actually dovetailing everything in the service of Lord with God in the center. Anasaktas. Don't be attached to the activity. Don't be attached to the result. Anasaktasya Vishayam. Don't be attached to the Vishaya. Means all the objects, including your cell phone also, computer, cell phone, internet, everything, all this. Otherwise, any of these can lead to the hell. Our cell phone, our computer, or internet, we think the politicians will save us. We read so much news, but what for? What will you get? That everything we have to see what will be the result, what will be the goal, what are you going to do about it? Are we a prime minister, chief minister, or a minister? What will do about it? What you can do to that extent only that knowledge. More than that, not needed. Don't waste time. So that's what is the Isopanishad is talking about it much more broader spectrum. In every sphere of our activity, we have to see what we have to filter it through eyes, through ears, the tongue, through the sense of touch, everything we have to see and filter it right there. How will you filter? Only if you regularly read and hear, then you can filter it. Otherwise, again and again we forget, because that is the nature of this condition. Anasaktasya visyan yataraham upayinita. Understand the utilization and use it in the service of Nirbandha. That is what Nirbandha Krishna, in relation with Krishna, in relation with Lord Vishnu. That is what God sent. That is what Isopanishad described. Now we'll go to further, because we have everything. I have to give praman, because this is how the Acharya teaches. Where is the praman? And it show me that you have described that ignorance is there in the body, ignorance is there in subtle body. Then how will you come out? You are telling this knowledge will help, but how will you come out? Where it is mentioned? You have to go to the praman. So we'll go. So that explained by Lord Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining very important, powerful verses from the powerful personalities. One is from Dhruva Maharaj, one is from Amrish Maharaj. So first let's look at the Amrish Maharaj example. This is 9.4.26. Very important point Lord Krishna is making. Sukadeva Goswami is speaking. Sa ittam bhakti yogena, the second line is important. Sa ittam bhakti yogena, which is devotion service, tapa yuktena pardeva. Tapa yuktena. Tapa means austerity. But what kind of austerities? What is the purpose of our austerities? That is must be understood, like how Amrit. Tapa yuktena pardeva swa dharmena harim prenam. The third line also important. Swa dharmena. Our own dharma, swadharma, has to be for what? Hari prenam. Satisfying Lord Hari. Sarvan kaman sanair jaho. The king of this planet, Maharaj Ambarish, thus performed devotion service to Lord. In this endeavor, practiced severe austerity, always satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his constitutional activities. He gradually gave up all material desires. Important purport, 9.4.26. Severe austerities in the practice of devotion service are of many varieties. For example, in worshipping the deity in the temple, there are certainly laborious activities. Sri Vigrahara, Dhananityanana, Sringara, Tanman, Dharmarjanadu. One must decorate the deity, cleanse the temple, bring water from the Ganga, Yamuna, continue the routine work, perform arati many times, prepare first-class food for the deity, prepare dresses and so on. In this way, one must constantly, see that, one must constantly be engaged in various activities. And the hard labor involved is certainly an austerity. Similarly, the hard labor involved in preaching. Similarly, preparing literature, preaching to the man, distributing literature door to door is of course an austerity. Tapa yuktena, tapo divyam patraka. Such austerity is necessary. By such austerity in devotion service, one is purified of material existence. Kaman sanaya jaho. Indeed, such austerity leads one to constitutional position of devotion service. In this way, one can give up material desires, and as soon as one is freed from such material, he is free from repetition of birth, death, old age, and disease. So that's why I'm chanting, that is also service. That's good enough. No, that is not good enough. That is not good enough. Why? Because we are not attentive in hearing. We are not in Suddhanam. We are a Nama Pra. That will not help us to actually transform. So that's why we have to engage other activity, other also. All other senses also. Just by tongue using, ear using is not good enough. Body, gross body has to be used, our words has to be used, our subtle body has to be used. All three things. And further we will see. This is not just one. In many places it is mentioned, but I'm just giving you some examples, because we have to always look at the praman. Without praman, don't blindly accept anything. If you follow blindly, then we will just simply anything anybody says, you will accept it. Google says, internet says, some great speaker says something, then you will accept it and you will follow it. Then you will forget what actually Acharya has given. What Sampradaya, what Acharya has given, you will forget that Siddhanta. You will accept somebody else's Siddhanta. No, that is not going to help. Always stand by the words of the Acharya. The Shastra and Guru, that's why Shastra is there. Guru, Paramatma is there. But why do you need Guru? Because you can't understand. You can't realize he's coming as Acha Vigraha. You can't see, even though you worship pictures, you worship the deity, still you can't realize. When we are chanting, what are we realizing? We are not thinking of the Lord. Otherwise, what does it say? Nama Rupa Guna Lela. When we are chanting, we are supposed to see the form, we are supposed to see the activity, we are supposed to see the quality. Is it happening? No, it is not happening. That means we are touching the Lord, we are doing deity worship, still why it is not happening? But in general, if you look at the material example, If you are very close friend or family relationship, very close, you are constantly thinking of them, then what will happen naturally? As soon as you are thinking of that person, immediately you'll realize the form, you'll realize thinking about their activities, past tense, automatically coming. But why is it not happening with the while chanting? Because we don't have that attraction. We are not at that level. We are not at the Bhakti Adhikar level. We need the strength of the spiritual master. We need the strength. So that's why we need. It's very important. We need to engage other senses also in the service of the Lord. One, just simply chanting is not good enough for us. For the conditioned soul, it's not good enough. One who is filled with ignorance, it is not enough. It is not enough. So that's what here Ambarish Maharaj. Otherwise, he is not expert. He is expert. He knows. You could have done just chanting only. We are not Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur can do just simply chanting and he can go back to God. But we are not at that level. Our chanting is not at that perfection. We chant and we sleep. While chanting or we talk, we touch cell phone, we are hearing class and we are chanting. All these things we do. Then how will we do? 16 now done means we put mala on the side. No attraction. Nam akar bodha nidusarva sikti tatrar pita nimita smaranena kala ida drasi tava krupa anurag. No attraction. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us that we don't have attraction. We finish songs as though it is like some duty. The chanting is not a duty. Chanting is to actually realize that is sadhana and sadhya also. That is the goal. Even when I go to Golokana, what you'll do? You'll always 24/7 think of Krishna. That is sadhya, sadhana also, sadhya also. That is the ultimate attaining. Whatever we do, worshipping the deity, we are supposed to think of the holy name. But how will you get there? And when you utilize your body, mind, senses in the service of the Lord, like Ambarish Maharaj, Prabhupada is speaking here. And further, let's look at the second example also, so that we are clear what this is. Over the second verse, you can work 100 years. You can be still in the material world, but still you can perfect. You can be liberated. How? This is the example we have to look at. Now, this is the fourth canto, chapter 8, Dhruva Maharaj pastime, 59 to 60. एवं कायेन मनसा वचसा च मनोगतं परिचर्यमानो भगवान् भक्तिमत् परिचर्यया पुंसाम् अमायिनां सम्यक् भजतां भाववर्धना श्रेयो दिशति अभिमतां यद्धर्म आदिषु देहिनाम्. Anyone who thus engages in the devotion service of the Lord, two things, sincerely and seriously. See that? Sincerely and seriously. Seriously means every day morning, get up, waking up and chanting means that's it. No other things we have to do. It is like the emergency. Every day is emergency. I have to get up, I have to chant. That's it. No other excuses. That's it. I have to do it, I have to do. That is what seriousness means. I have to read every day, I have to read. That's what Bhagavatam has to be in the center of life. Vichara kariyo mane Sri Bhagavata, Madhyastha Sri Bhagavata Purana. Bhakti Rasa, if somebody wants to actually release Srimad Bhagavatam, release transcendental literature, what he has to do? Srimad Bhagavatam, he has to put in the center of his life every day. Vichara Karita Mana, Bhakti Rata Aswadane, Madhyastha Srimad Bhagavata Purana. Narottam Das Thakur, Dhanamora Nityananda, in that verse, in that song, clearly is describing that what is his real intention. He wants to keep Srimad Bhagavatam in the center. This is our Acharya Siddhanta. Bhagavatam, every day they themselves, Prabhupada himself read. All our Acharyas read. So that's why we also have to read every day. We have to hear and also we have to read. We have to make it, okay, 5 minutes a day. Okay, 5 minutes. At least start with one round chanting, 7 minutes, maybe 8 minutes. And okay, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, one verse a day. Srimad Bhagavatam you read. Vedabase.net, you can refer to or .io and chant. Start somewhere. Okay, we are not expert, we just started, fine, that's fine. And then gradually increase and increase consistently. Keep it that at least that level. And gradually increase, no decreasing. Anything you do in devotion, consistent, be consistent. If you have already as a service, don't take other service and give up this service. No. Can you go to in your office, can you do that? You go to your manager, you work for a manager, and he has been given you task, and then you will accept one more project, and they say, no, I can't do this project. Maybe once in a while he may accept. But if everybody does it, what he will do? Manager has to run somewhere else. He cannot accept. Same thing is when service is such a responsible thing that it's very, very responsible thing. Devotion service, we take it lightly, but it is not actually light. It is very serious, more serious than our ordinary job. In ordinary job, when you go for vacation, ideally you are supposed to find a backup person. You are supposed to use Tell manager, in the case of this, only in emergency you call manager. That's how generally is done in the at least most of the cases. In devotion service also it is like that. We have to be responsible. If we are not there, then we have to find backup also. This is a responsible, serious and sincere person. If he is not sincere and serious, he will do whatever he likes. That is not really according to the Acharya Siddhanta. So that's why we have to understand this. What does it mean by serious and sincere? It means consistent. Consistent in taking responsibility. Consistent in the sadhana practice. Whatever, even one round or one few minutes chanting, a few minutes reading, few minutes service at the temple once a week, whatever that is, but consistent. Increase but never decrease it. So that is what seriousness means. That is what sincere means. Further, with his mind, with his words, with his body. Three things: kaya, mana, and vak. Why? As I told, ignorance is there at each level. If you don't, then mind you are trying to fix it. Body and senses will allow you? No, body and senses will drag you. Come here, let's enjoy this. Let's enjoy it. So that's why when body is used, words is used, and mind is used, everything is used, then automatically at some point after some practice, then naturally it will be fixed up. As long as we are under the guidance of the Bonfide spiritual man. That's why it's important. Dhruva Maharaj, what he has done. That's why he could see the Supreme Lord within 6 months. Why? This is the reason. Anyone who does engage in devotional service of the Lord seriously and sincerely, with his mind, with his body, with his words, and who is fixed in the activities of the prescribed devotional methods, is blessed by the Lord according to his desire. According to his, even if he is okay. I am not a pure devotee. I am not Anyabilasha Sunyam, like Rupa Goswami mentioned. I have some desires. I want to get this, get it, fine. But you are trying to use everything, serving, like Isopanishad verse 1 and 2 is telling that you work, put God in the center and do, fine. Even if you have a little desire, fine. Like Dhruva Maharaj also had desire. So that's why he's telling that use your body, mind, and words and fix up in your service. According to his desire. If a devotee desires material religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation from the material world, he is awarded all these results. All these results. And Prabhupada is talking purport. Devotion service is so potent that one who renders devotion service can receive whatever he likes as a benediction from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The conditions souls are very much attached to the material. Thus, by performing religious rite, they want the material benefit known as Dharma of the Artha. Even if they are desiring all these things, Lord will give. Because you are utilizing everything in the service of the Lord. Like just like look at material example. Like if a father or grandfather seeing that my son is mature, my son is very careful and doing the activity, he'll give. Okay, I don't need, I'll retire. Take this business, you run with it. And he'll write the property to his son or daughter. If he sees sincerity, if he is he knows what he's doing, he's not wasting things, then obviously. Same thing, anybody coming to your home and 20, 30, 40 years, he's offering obeisance, he's hearing, he's following everything, whatever you ask, you do, he is doing. Then what you will do? The master or the whoever is that person for whom he is serving, obviously he will do. What you want? Tell me, I'll give you. Because he is doing every day 20, 30, 40 years. So we are that, but we don't have that faith. That is the problem. We are going in front of the Lord, we are offering obeisance, we want to chant, we want to hear. So don't you think that Lord is going to give everything? He will perfect us? But we don't have that faith. That conviction is not there. That seriousness is not there. The sincerity is not. That is the problem. We have to depend completely, utterly dependent on the Supreme Lord. Everything he will give. Only thing we have to do is whatever Acharya says. If he says chanting 16, we do. If he says you have to every day read Bhagavatam, we do. Just follow only. All that is only difficulty. If you follow it, then that's all. We can attain guaranteed. There is no disturbance to that. Attain completely. With 100% confident. Be confident. We'll attain the perfection. Because Shastra is telling. Lord may break his own promise, but he will never break the promise of the spiritual master. Especially his pure devotee, his bona fide Acharya coming in the display section. If he promises, then the Lord has to. Lord has to wait. Like Arjuna, that's why he's telling Arjuna, you declare. If I declare, because I can come out and take a chariot wheel and run to Bhishma, break my promise. But I won't break my promise to what I have given to devotees. And what devotees give on behalf of me. So Prabhupada has made a promise, but all our acharyas made a promise that if you chant 16 rounds, if you follow for regulated principle, if you hear every day and in the association, and cooperate, and then you will attain perfection, guaranteed. Prabhupada said, okay, 90% you can do, 80%, 70%, no less. 70% you follow, no less. Then you can attain. So that's what everything is in the Acharya. Yesterday, Parabhakti. This is what Parabhakti means. Then everything will be manifested, everything will be revealed. You don't need to look for, I need Siddha Swarupa, I need to reveal, I want Raganuga Bhakti, I want spontaneous devotion. It will come. If you follow the spiritual master instruction, if you follow Prabhupada's books, everything will be revealed. What is your Swarupa, what is your Rasa with the Lord, everything will be revealed. But we don't have faith in the Acharya. So if you don't have faith in Acharya, wherever you become Babaji or you go and take up another Guru, no result. No result. That's what will happen. Because Lord knows what is there in your heart. No? You are rejecting a pure devotee, is a pure representative, you are going trying to run here and there. What will happen? You cannot. You're not going to, in the company also, CEO and managers, senior director, vice president, they know that if somebody is keep changing his jobs and not actually really doing, is giving so many different plans, this is not working, that is not working, how long they can keep that person? They will know at some point of time. So it is like that. Lord knows exactly what's going on in our heart, why we are jumping. So that's why in the Dhruva Maharaj's pastime also it is very important. With one more verse, we will conclude. So 11:2:36. This is Krishna directly speaking. Krishna speaking, if I remember correctly. Kayena vacha manasendriya irva. Most of the devotees may know this verse because this we read in Vishnu Sahasranam at the end. Kayena vacha manasendriya, a little bit difference is there in the last. Kayena vacha manasendriya irva buddhyatma va anusruta swabhava. This is also a little bit different. Karoti yad yat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samapayet yatta. That is the verse 11:2:36. Translation. In accordance with a particular nature one has acquired in conditioned life, whatever one does with the body, words, mind, senses, intelligence, or purified consciousness, one should offer to the Supreme, thinking this is for the pleasure of Lord Narayan. Purport. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commented in this regard that a person who engages all the sensory activities of his body, mind, words, intelligence, ego, consciousness in the service of the Supreme Lord cannot be considered to be on the same level as a karmi working for his personal sense gratification. Although apparently still a conditioned soul, one who offers the fruits of all his activities to the Lord can no longer be touched by the countless miseries that arise from the reactions to the materialist activities. So that is a powerful statement. So that's why it is very important to understand. Oh, then you may say that I can offer, I can perform some religious activity, I can offer whatever activities I do. No. Jiva Goswami gives example that in any government, any democratic government will not allow a citizen to choose the occupation of a thief or murderer. In the same way, according to the laws of God, one is invited to work according to his own nature in the Varnashrama system. But one is forbidden to adopt a criminal life of sinful activities, violating the laws of God. He cannot offer these things to the Lord. One cannot offer dushkarma or sinful or wicked activities to Supreme Personality of God. The four pillars of sinful life. So that is why. So no government will allow that. Same thing, obviously, in the material life. In the spiritual life, obviously, Lord never said and never allowed. So we cannot offer those activities to the Lord. I can offer anything to the Lord. No, that is not accepted. So this is the essence of the Isopanishad, especially how one should utilize his body, mind, words, because the ignorance is there. So the more we utilize everything, God-centered activities, anything we do, then automatically purification is there, step by step. It is only a gradual practice, has to be there every day, consistently, sincerely, and seriously. Then naturally you will attain the highest bliss. So I think already 8 or 6 more to talk about, but let's see if any questions, comments, corrections. Thank you very much for patiently listening. We discussed a lot from various angles. Let's hear any comments.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Danda from All Guru Shri Prabhupada.
Yeah, go ahead.
Prabhuji, one question or a couple of questions I have.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, thing is, out of these 108 Upanishads, Gita Upanishad is the top most Upanishad, is Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
And this Isopanishad is also part of 108 Upanishad, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Okay. And you said, or maybe I just want to clarify that we should read Gita Upanishad first and then the Bhagavad Gita.
No, I didn't say that. In
Okay.
general, you can read this way, but ideally, generally, is because Isopanishad is the foundation knowledge, and then you read Gita. But otherwise, fine. If you have started with Gita, that's fine, and you could go back. It takes a month, maybe 1 day you can finish. In one sitting, you can finish 18 verses, but it needs more, pointed reading, serious reading, than to understand a little more in depth what exactly it is pinpointing us to. It takes a few more readings and a few more hearings from others, then you'll get the intricacies of Isopanishad. More or less, it is in line with Gita. So whatever is there in Isopanishad, that is laid out. So that is the first foundation. Isopanishad first we read. I had this question when I was about to start my classes. I asked my spiritual master, and I asked somebody else also, senior devotees. I had the doubt, because Prabhupada in the beginning, when he started with Gita, I think maybe few months or maybe 1-2 months, maybe around very beginning. Then he started Isopanishad. Isopanishad he fully finished. The classes also is there 1 to 18. Rather, he asked all these Western devotees wherever he goes on the program or somewhere. Sometimes with even reporters or some places, public programs also, he told, okay, go ahead and chant these 18 verses. Because the sound vibration is such that it can purify. Chant the 18 verses, it will purify the whole area. That's a Prabhupada allowed them to read and recite and learn these 18 verses and by heart it. And so they did. Many of them, they chanted these verses. That's it, prominent. This is there in the, if you want the details, so what is 108 Upanishads is there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, I think the beginning was, forget. Anyway, I'll tell you in a few minutes, but yeah, go ahead with the next question. So Isopanishad, I had a question asked at that time, and the one devotee said, yeah, you can do both ways. If you want to do with Isopanishad beginning and then Gita, that's fine. But if you are started with Gita, that's fine too. There is no compulsory that you have to do first Gita and then Isopanishad. But then, because I had very much inclination because I read and I heard all the classes of Prabhupada and Isopanishad. I saw in the beginning he started Gita, but he finished the Isopanishad. Then he went back to Gita. Then I thought, okay, maybe let me first, because this is foundation anyway. People may not understand Gita at so much detail. So you may not go into, it may not connect properly. So then I thought, okay, let's first basics has to be given. So then I started with Isopanishad in 2011 or 14. And I finished that. Then started Bhagavad Gita. And I asked even my spiritual master also has told the same thing. Fine, if you want to start that way, there is no compulsory, there is no problem. Then that's how I start. Or you follow the Bhakti Raksha manual. If you want to follow there, it covers a lot of books, Gita and Bhagavad Gita, obviously, and all the other Prabhupada small books and different pattern of presentation. That also you can do. So it is up to you, but make sure you present it the way Sri Prabhupada has done it, how he did in his classes and everything. So that's what I did. Yeah. Is that clear? First thing?
Yeah, Prabhuji, my questions are all clarified. But Gita Upanishad cross-references Lord Bhagavad Gita shlokas, right, Prabhuji? So if you don't know Bhagavad Gita, then how can you basically get the complete nectar of Gita Upanishad?
Gita Upanishad is talking about the foundation, basic. It may refer to Bhagavad Gita verse, but it will not go in detail. Like if Prabhupada is referring in the purport of just verses 3.9 to 16, he just mentioned 2 lines and then moved on. Yeah, that is the generally parampara of Acharya, all the gurus, all the Acharyas. In any book they look at, even if you Bhagavad Gita, you will see the commentary referring to so many Upanishads, Svetasvatara Upanishad especially, quoting so many times. Yasadeve paravakti yata deve tata guru tasyaivahi katita prakasante. That prakasika shakti talked about as a light, as a energy. Somebody has to show it then that's a guru. So that Prakash, the manifestation of Lord Krishna's actual strength and power of his holy name, everything through Shabda, is coming through the Guru. So Guru will reveal, otherwise Shastra is there, Paramatma is there, but he can't understand. He can't remove your ignorance yourself. You need a spiritual man because he is the one who is removing. So that's why we need a spiritual master. That's why Prabhupada is quoting that verse, various Upanishads. Many of our Katha Upanishad also Prabhupada quotes many times. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's it, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
I'll give you the reference where Prabhupada is quoting in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Darshan. All the 108 Upanishads are listed in the purport. And even within that, again, he lists 11 are important. And that also tells Isopanishad. This is the top one. In a few other places also it is mentioned like that. But here, in one verse, the whole thing is mentioned. All 108 names are given. So I will give you that verse, exact verse. Go ahead. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare
Yes.
Krishna. Krishna, one question, Prabhu. So, basically, I am in this ISKCON like 13 years, right, Prabhu? So I like chanting and doing a lot of services. Basically, like I have felt the blissness sometimes, like, due to the chanting and other services we do. But I never felt that feeling for how the Goloka will look. That kind of things, even in my dreams also, I am not getting that kind of, that whatever they mention about Goloka Vrindavana, where Krishna is there and all those things. So, I mean, I just want any other devotees who have got that kind of thing in any dreams or in a kind of bliss, like, did they felt that kind of a feeling? I mean, just want to ask that.
Shut on.
Mute your lines. Yeah. See, okay, even let's say, I have not come to that level. Even let's say that if I tell you also, what you will have maybe more faith, but it will not help you really. See, the acharyas which we are, that's why we say that acharya, because we are not a pure devotee. So we are following the pure devotee. So the Sri Prabhupada is direct in communication. How can you say that? You see the result, transformative result. Look at Palena Parichyate. Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartan. Shastra Praman, these are. Unless you are empowered by Krishna or is a representative, your representative, you cannot transform. What Srila Prabhupada has done at the age of 70 years, coming to the Vaishnava who has no idea of God, no idea of Krishna, who is Lord Krishna is, but they pick up to the highest level of process. They could do whatever he wants. He says to go and preach to Russia, in Russia or Japan, wherever, doesn't just accept it and move on. We have a problem, even as after 20, 30, 40 years of practice, we have a problem accepting what Srila Prabhupada, we have questions. But these devotees who have no background, no culture, Vedic culture, but accept how it is possible. It is impossible task. Who can do? Only with enlightened, who has directly in touch with the Supreme Lord. He is not a Siddha, he is not a conditioned soul. If he has a conditioned soul, first of all, he has 4 defects. The pure devotee, Bhakti devotee, doesn't have mistakes. But the revelation, obviously, you have to practice. So when you are chanting the process, right? You are supposed to chant Panchatattva mantra also. Even then, also before that, we are supposed to, there is a process how we can fix up the mind. While we are chanting, we have to carefully chant, hear the sound, not meditating on anything else artificially, not looking at anything else. Yes, if you are disturbed, okay, you offer obeisances to Tulsi Maharani, or you look at the deities, or you hear something, you read a page or so, and then you again start chanting. But that is not while chanting, you cannot do the other things. So before that, you are supposed to read or hear, especially attend Mangalarti online. Okay, Vrindavan temple is there, Mayapur temple is there, LA temple, many of the temples there's a Mangalarti. You first watch the Mangalarti, you take the darshan of the Lord in person. Fine, wonderful. If you cannot, okay, watch it on YouTube. First look at the deities, take the darshan of the Lord. This is the general standard instruction. If anybody is traveling also, you are supposed to take especially long distance. You're going to India, first to take darshan of the Lord. Then, this is how Sri Prabhupada, this is how my spiritual master has done. This is the standard. First you take the blessings of the Lord before you do anything of spiritual activities. So that's why it requires first to take darshan. Then you chant the Guru, Samsara Davanani, the mercy of the Lord. You are remembering the Lord, Guru's activities. Then you chant the Sikshastakam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's essential instruction, Cheto Darpanam. then it will take only 5 minutes. Once you by heart it, while going and brushing your teeth and washing your hands and mouth, it takes 5-6 minutes, less than 10 minutes. And then you sit down and chant. So this is the general practice, because japa has to be reaffirmed. When you are sleeping, so many dreams may come, so many disturbances, so many things are there. When you wake up, it is not in a position to actually to relish, to taste the holy name. It has to be trained first. So that training is required. That's why otherwise we don't say we chant Om Namo Bhagavate. We can directly speak. Why? First you have to come to the platform of that, at least theoretically we have to come to that. That's why we offer first prayers. This is the practice. First kirtana has to be done. Then you can speak. Then you are as per the senses, the mind, intelligence is fixed up in that consonant. Then you can actually speak more fixed up. Otherwise, it's difficult. And the gross body settle. So much ignorance is there. So this is the standard practice is being given by our acharyas. So it will be revealed. Golok Vrindavan is there. Spiritual world is there. It's not that we haven't seen, we haven't realized. Doesn't mean that it's not there. Because throughout Bhagavad, what did Lord Brahma say? Go to Canto 2. What did Lord Brahma say? He saw Vaikuntha. Because as soon as he heard the flute sound, he received the true Gayatri mantra. Which is in Bhagavad. Even beginning itself, look at how many examples Bhagavatam is giving. Who has realized, who has seen the Lord. Narada Muni. First example, Narada Muni. Vyasdev. To Vyasdev, Narada Muni is giving what he has done. How did he see the Lord? How did he heard the Lord's name? Bhakti Vedanta initiated Narada Muni, and they left in 4 months only. After that, simply, sincerely, seriously followed, then immediately heard. Within very, very quickly, rapidly heard the sound. He came to the Asakti and Bhava stage. From Adho Shraddha, initiated Bhajana Kriya, then Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti and Bhava. That is the stage where you will come to hear the sound of the Supreme Lord. He has heard and he said, you will not see me again, you will not hear the sound again. Only to increase your attachment to me, I have given you the oral reception. You will see me only after you give up this life, you will come to me. So that's how he became Narada Muni. So after becoming Narada Muni, to Vyasdev, he is telling his life story, how it has happened. This is Narada Muni's life. As you go on further, the examples are there of many examples throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, how one has perfected. So it is not some theory, some mythology, because this is a realized truth which is given by the acharyas. All these are realized and Nitya Siddha Bhaktas. Many of them are pure, eternally liberated. They never become conditioned. There are 2 types of category of living in Nitya Siddha and Nitya Mukta and Nitya Baddha. Conditioned and liberated. We are conditioned. But the pure devotees are, again, the spiritual masters are also at different level. But at least he has to be at a Nishtha stage. Adho Shraddha, Tata Sadhu Sangho, Tata Bhajana Kriya. That means also faith to come to practice of devotion service, then accepting devotion in the association of devotees, then Bhajana Kriya, that means surrendering to spiritual master, taking initiation. That is 3rd step. 4th step is Anartha Nivritti. Then the 5th step is Nishtha. Spiritual master will be at this level minimum. When one comes to the Nishtha stage, then at least they will be able to understand the actual aspects of the pure devotion. So they will be able to understand release the bliss. They will be able to reveal the at least confidential things. Otherwise, somebody who's at the Anartha Nivritti stage or the Bhajana Kriya stage cannot reveal, cannot understand the deeper things. He himself is not at that level. So the spiritual master will be at least minimum Nishtha and the Ruchi and Asakti. And Asakti and Bhava stage is when things will be revealed. At least you will be able to communicate with the Lord. That is the stage. And then Prema, beyond that is. So many examples are there. We just need to practice it. But under the guidance of one of our spiritual master. So one is before initiation, there is a way you chant, you may get some revelations, some reflections, so you may get some dreams also, but not necessarily that everybody is going to get. Because how you practice on day-to-day basis, what else you do, what you are supplementing for chanting, what is the strength you are giving to chanting. So whether we are doing service, whether we are hearing, whether we are reading, in whose association we are doing, all these things matters. Self we may do, but it may not give really a result because we are following so many things day-to-day activities. So it may not really it is not a focused chanting. So for that focused chanting, we have to do other activities. That's why we refer to these verses of Dhruva Maharaj, refer to verses of Ambarish Maharaj, how they used body, mind, sense, everything. It requires a lot of gross body, subtle body, all these things. Then only actually you can fix up the mind in chanting on the holy name, Shabda. Otherwise, it's very difficult to actually penetrate into that Shabda and fix our ear. Let's look at somebody posted a message. Yeah, is that clear?
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. I mean, I have got lot of bliss. I mean, I have felt it. I have seen like a feeling of Krishna, everything. But I just asked like that, like you said, that's the top. It's the very ultimate, right? It's not easy to get that kind of seeing the
Yes.
Goloka. Yeah, it will take time. Like even like second level initiation also, it takes more time to go to that level. Yeah.
First standard is 20 years. Minimum somebody has to practice 20 years seriously and sincerely. Then you can talk about the Asakti and Bhava and Krishna Prema. At least 20 years. That's what Prabhupada said.
Yeah. So Prabhu, one question in Srimad Bhagavatam, then Ajamila lived a very sinful life, right? But he got that opportunity. Is it because of his past karma that he did very good things? Maybe that's the reason. Though he called Narayana's name, but I mean, we are calling every time in chanting, right? But he was a little differentiator. So because of past karma, maybe he did lot of pious services to God.
Why to look at the past karma? In that life only, he was following his father. His father is a Brahmana. He himself was a Brahmana. He engaged in the activities of devotion service to Lord Narayan Shila, Shaligram Shila. He engaged in that worship, which is Bhakti, Prasada Bhakti. He has already attained that Bhakti, Unmukta Sukruti. So that's why, because of that, Lord allowed him to remember. Even a person fall down, if he is sinful also, somehow or other, accidentally or whatever the case, Lord, even if he forgets, Lord will make that nothing is coincidence, nothing is what you call that. So by chance. In this world, nothing. In Ajamil's case also, by making his son's name Narayana or remembering his son, calling his son immediately remembering to Narayana is not by chance. It is only because of his devotional activities in that life itself he has performed. That's why he could do. If he is somebody who didn't perform, you cannot expect this thing to happen. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, bro. Correct. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Next, yeah. Anybody else? I think somebody else raised. I don't know who raised. Yes. Okay. Two raised. Somebody else had a question. I don't know who else raised. Is that iPhone? I don't know who the iPhone is. You can unmute and ask if your question, comment, correction. Okay, I think no one else has question.
Haribol Prabhu, Haribol, Dhanavad Pranam Prabhu. Dhanavad Pranam.
Go ahead. Quick, late time.
Okay. So Prabhu, my question is that if someone, I'm not, our goal will be the bhakti, and ultimate goal will be to serve the Lord. We are served to Lord and go back to the Godhead. That is correct. But apart from that, I'm asking these things that whoever in Gita also Bhagavan told that, and if someone doing the bhakti, following the bhakti process, at least next life, he will get the human birth, right?
Yes, correct.
So that human birth is in the higher planet or lower planet, where?
What does it matter? You tell me, Ashish Jagan, what does it matter? At least human birth in the earthly planet, higher planet, because earthly planet especially gives more flexibility to fix up. See, right? Unless you are in anxiety, unless somebody puts some pressure, then you feel it. You're constant in enjoyment. What is the need for you to remember the Lord? If you are in some distress, some anxiety coming from different directions, then you have a need. That's why even the demigods come to the earthly planet. This is like a launching pad. So when you are too much, Bhogaiswara Prasaktanam Taya Aparata Chatasam. Samadhavana Vidiyat, Vyavasayatmikuddhina Vidiyat. When you are too much covered with opulence, beauty, strength, you are enamored by all these things, you can fix up in devotion service. You're always in Karma Mishra Bhakti. And you think, okay, I'll do today. Tomorrow I'll be, even when spiritual master walks in, you will not even realize it. So repeated mistakes. So this can happen. So because in general, it doesn't say exactly whether you will be born on earthly planet or not. It doesn't matter. If Lord is saying that assurance that at least you'll guarantee human birth, generally Brahmana or Kshatriya family, Prabhupada gives he's giving his own example. See, like how myself, my spiritual master, we both are born in a Vaishnava family. So Prabhupada is born in a Gaur Mohan Dey's family, Mulika pious Bhakti devotees family. And Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, obviously in Acharya's line. Bhakti Thakur is a great Acharya in our line. He himself, so his father himself was a great Acharya. So he was born. So Prabhupada is giving that example in that Suchram Srimatange, 6th chapter verse, I forget verse number. That verse is quoting that I myself, just like in this verse, it says that I will be born in a Brahmana Kshatriya family or Vaishya family, pious family. That means you don't need to look for, oh, where is my shelter, where is my clothes, where is my education. Basic things are already there. Because if basic things are not there, you will not even do devotion service. We are not Sudama Vipra to devotion, even though when he is poor. He can do, he is extraordinary. But ordinarily, generally, where people doesn't have basic things, they won't accept devotion service because they have basic problems. So that's if Bhagavad Gita was said that basic problems are already met. So naturally, will continue where he left off because he's already, that family is already naturally accustomed to perform devotion. So that's where he will be born. So he will continue where he left off. Sometimes you will see in our temple devotees, you see that some of the kids, as soon as they're born, they took it up devotion. How? Because in the past life, they are devotees. So they are continuing in this life as a devotees. Immediately pick up, not much time. Because that is effect, that is a result of devotion service, continuing from the past. It's not inconceivable. We have seen so many examples. Otherwise, it is not possible. It's not, nothing is by chance in this world. Is that clear, Ashish Jagannath?
Yes, definitely. You wonderful. You already explained that thing. That is another thing. Just this is not related to most of the things. And this is not related to the pure bhakti. But another question I have. So that question is that if someone do the good work, not the bhakti, he will go back to he will do the he'll attain the higher planetary system, higher planet, heavenly planet, and after that they fall down in the earthly planet or lower planet, on which and what body they will get after fall down.
We have meeting at 8:30. Time is short.
Okay, no problem.
But yes, Kriya Punya Matya Lokam Vesanti. When the moon planet or heavenly planet, they come back to earthly planet. In generally, that's what is be said. So,
and as a human birth, you got the human birth or lower birth also?
Not guaranteed. Not necessarily that you may get human birth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But for bhakti, guarantee is there. At least you will continue human birth.
Yes,
for other pious activity, there is no guarantee. Okay, Prabhu, we have to stop already 8:30. We have meeting, I think, on this channel itself. Extended. Sorry for the delay. Natural time is already went over.
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. वैष्णववृंद की जय.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Next Friday, please join. 7 to 9 temple program will be there, and then 22nd Saturday, next day after Radhashtami is Philadelphia Jagannath Radhayatra. Please try to attend 12 to 7 on Benjamin Franklin Parkway. So these are the main important festivals. Thank you very much.
Also, humble request, September 29th is our Bhadra Purnima. So please try to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam as much as you can. Please try to distribute at least one Srimad Bhagavatam set. Since you are all wonderful devotees, try to give this to others. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Krishnanamanda Pr. Thank you, everyone.